Hello, welcome to My Messy Fingers. We are going to be making an album using an older collection. You can find all of this paper if you want to purchase it at Scrap and Create. This is who they are, Scrap and Create. They're an online store. They sent me this collection for me to play with, and so what I have is one pack of the collector's edition 8x8 Imagine, and then I had the collector's edition Imagine and the 12x12 collector's pack. Now there are stickers for both packs, and then you're getting there are 3 sheets of 8 double-sided paper in both of these. So I am using it's called Vellum White. And I got it at Cardstock Warehouse. It's got a real soft pink pastel color to it. This would be a great color for those soft baby albums that you want to make, that you don't want that bright pink, but you want a nice pink. It's called Vellum White. And you can get it at Cardstock Warehouse. Now, you're going to want, in the cardstock, you're going to want to have 2 sheets that are 11 by 10 1/4. So 11 across by 10 1/4. You're going to want 2 of those. We're going to use these. They're 65-pound weight. We're going to use these to wrap the album. And then you are going to want to cut one piece that's going to measure 6 inches across by 8 inches. And then you will cut 3 sheets that will be 12 across by 8 inches, because this needs to match this height. And then you're going to score each one of them on an end at 5/8 of an inch. And you're going to want 3 of these. All right, so for the album itself, you will want to cut, did I put my measurements? I didn't. Shame on me. 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. This way, we're not really cutting into any of the 8x8 sheets, hopefully not by very much, because this will be our mainstay through the album. We'll use a lot of the 12x12s for the base pages. So you'll want to have 2 of these, and then you're going to cut your spine so it's 2.5 inches by 8 1/4 inches. This will hold 3 pages at 5/8 of an inch across. Now, the binding that I use is a product called Tyvek. It's actually a mailing envelope. I found that it has great resiliency. It has minimal tear. It is tough. And I use it on the outside of my chipboard. So when I put my cardstock up against it on the outside, the Tyvek is what the rough edges of the chipboard will be sliding and moving around on, while on the back side, the cardstock is sliding over the Tyvek and not this way where the cardstock is up against the rough edge of the chipboard. So if you make an album in a particular manner or fashion that you're comfortable with, by all means. But understand that I'm working with 5/8 of an inch in between each of my pages, because I do build-ups, I do elevations, so we want to make sure that when those pages close, that there's still room and that they're not mashing against each other. I cut 2 strips of Tyvek, and you can get this at Scrap and Create. I cut 2 that are, let me get on this side, that are 2 inches by 7 7/8. Then I came in and I scored it at 7/8, and then I scored it at 1 1/8 of an inch. That creates my gusset right here. And then I tape along that score line, and then I'm going to butt these right up to that score line. And then that way when the panel, this big panel is laid down and this is laid down, we have a 1/4 inch space. Now I have on my Etsy site some acrylic spacers that I do use. It does help me make sure that everything is straight and that I do have a 1/4 inch gusset that I've maintained when I put this together. So here we go. On this acrylic set, there's 3 different sizes, plus a spatula that I happen to use as my, let me make sure I have this sitting, as I use as my burnishing tool. Those smaller burnishing tools, my arthritic fingers don't work with them very well anymore. So I use that spatula, the rough end, as my burnishing tool. Works great also for spreading paint, glue. All right, so that panel's on. So now let's go ahead and let's put this back in here. I'm going to take this off. And then I'm going to line up on my grid down here and hold this steady. And then I'm going to come in here and press, and I've got my 1/4 inch gusset. Now these will be on my website. Here's one of the bigger ones, while supplies last. So I don't know how long I'll be carrying them. All right, let's turn this over. And let's go ahead and let's get this side put on. And then I will bring this right up again, up to my spacer. Let's put this back in. And I'm going to line everything back up here along the bottom. And then I will come in here. Ta-da! There we go. Now we're going to put on this is 65 pound weight. So 65 pound weight, and it's called Vellum White. And you can get it at Cardstock, warehouse.com. This is where I get, I would say 98% of my cardstock. It is solid all the way through. You don't have that white core center, which I find to be kind of annoying when you're trying to make something that you're going to treasure for years, that you've got this white core in all the cardstock. All right, so I am using a 3/8 of an inch tape. And I'm just going to follow my tape line all the way up. Now, when we put this together, this seam right here, I want as best as possible that it is in the middle of my spine. If that seam is sitting anywhere near here or here, it creates a weak point. This is where your flex is going to be. So you want to keep the burden off this seam by keeping it in the center. From an aesthetics standpoint, it looks better to my eye to see this seam on the spine and not see this seam in the middle of your front or back page. So when I cut my cardstock, I am anticipating at least a 1 inch all the way around. And I'm at 1 inch there. And wow, I laid that perfect. Watch, I'll try and do that again. So to get these together, on this side, we're going to cover this with tape. I am going to use 1/2 inch tape here along the chipboard edges. Get my Scrap and Create tape and tear tool ready. I want to make sure I've got some decent tape coverage here. Now, if you prefer glue when you're making your albums, that is perfectly fine. It's entirely your choice. And again, if you have an album design that you're comfortable with, by all means. But again, understand that I do use 5/8 of an inch between my pages. All right, so I've got my tape here. Now I'm going to tape here on the end. And the middle, and then I'm going to run tape in the middle of each of these sections, and then I'm going to repeat this on the other end. But before I get there, I want to run a strip of tape down the center of this. It doesn't have to be perfect, I just want it roughly in the center. Okay, another reason I like this thing is I can get a real wide burnish. I'm not using a small stick to burnish things. All right, now this will get flipped over and it will go on like so. Now we're going to put a 1/2 inch tape here all the way around the perimeter. We're going to put 3/8 of an inch tape here all the way around the perimeter, but not in the middle. So I'm going to start here. This roll is going to run out here pretty quick. But I got smart this time. I opened up a new roll so you didn't have to listen to crackly paper as I took it out of the package. Now I'm not quite sure how I will introduce this. I know it's a 5 or a 6 year old collection, but I thought I would bring new life to it. Scrap and Create does have the collector's edition, and I will tell you that I will not be using the main image, the face with the flower and the butterfly. I'm going to totally change the outside for a different appearance. And like I said, hopefully bring some new life to this collection. I know there's some of you out there sitting with it. And then, like I said, if you like what I've done and you want to pick up the collection, head on over to Scrap and Create. They would love to see some love from you. Now I'm putting on my 1/2 inch tape. And I will put the link to Cardstock Warehouse in the description field. So if you want to check them out, you can open up the description field, look at all the links that are provided there, and then you can click on the link. It'll take you right to the website. All right, so I'm going to put this back in here. I'm going to give myself a little inch here and a little bit of an inch here. Okay, I just shifted that. All right, now I want this to be an inch all the way around. I want to make sure that, okay, I need to push this up just a bit on this end. There we go. Whoops, I'm sticking to the tape. All right, now that I have it in the position that I want it in, I don't want to have to readjust this. So I am going to palm my hand here, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take out this middle piece, and I'm going to burnish that into place, and then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to take these off. I should have probably pulled them all off because this is very awkward. I thought I was being smart. All right, so we're good to go here. Now I'm going to start to take the tape off the panels. Now when I lift this up, this Tyvek is wiggly. It moves. You don't want this collapsing this way, or it kind of shrinking up on you here. So you're going to give a gentle tug, you're going to pull it, and then you're going to lay it down. And then we're going to repeat that process over here. And by giving that gentle little tug, you're ensuring that you maintain your 1/4 inch gusset hinge here. All right, lay it down. Then we're going to turn it over. All right, let's start peeling some tape off. I'm just going to pull that back just a little bit because we're going to be, oh gosh, forgot, stop, slow down, miter my corners. This mitering tool is a nice heavy metal, stays in place. I just have to hold my 2 fingers there, and I get the exact same corner cut every single time. I need to change my blade. Sorry, I'm going to flip this around here. And getting the exact same corners, it creates the same look for my album. It's a 2-in-1 miter tool. It's also on my Etsy site. Okay. And by the way, this is the first time I'm going to tout this. I sell this as a bundle. And like I said, there's 2 more here. I sell this as a bundle with 3 yards of ribbon of your choice. You just have to indicate what color you want. But it's a great deal if it's something that you're interested in. All right. Let's go ahead and let's take this off. And then I'm going to flex this over my chipboard. And then I'm going to pull down. Okay, let's get these corners turned and flattened down. And now I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to pull this back just a little bit, and we're going to go repeat that process. See, nice clean corners. The only place where I could fault on this is what I'm doing right now, is turning these corners. Pull this down a little bit. All right, let's repeat that again. All right, turn this corner down and in. Let's take this off. All right. Now, the only other thing that I do is you have this cardstock sitting here. So when you turn this, it can bunch up here at the top, and I don't like that. Plus, I want to define where these edges are. That will come into play later. So I'm going to lift this up. I'm using a different tool that's roughly 1/4 of an inch. And I'm just going to gently push this in there with more of an emphasis on this edge so that I can identify that. Okay, and then we're going to do it here again. And don't push too hard, because if you do, you're going to tear it, and you're either tearing this apart to replace the paper or you're gluing it. All right, so there we go, and we've got nice, crisp corners. Okay, so let us now work on putting this together. You have hopefully cut a 6 by 8 piece of paper, and it will come in here and sit right in the middle with about 1/8 of an inch top and bottom. So now this is where we're going to run tape just on a cardstock piece, and then we're going to run a 1/2 inch tape around the edge. So let's get in here. Oh, there it is. And then I'm going to run a 1/2 inch and 3/8 of an inch here on the outside. You've got 2 inch, roughly you'll end up have close to 2 inches. I'm just going to pull that off and toss it. I don't want a split piece. You've got a 2.5 inch spine. You've got another 1/2 inch here. So now you're at 3.5 inches against a 6 inch width. So you're going to balance this like so. You're going to end up with roughly about a 1/2 inch here on each end, and you're going to come in and you're going to drop it into place after we get our 1/2 inch tape put on. Okay. Take the center pieces out. We'll take the wing pieces off here in a minute. Now when I put this down here, I'm just going to gently tap it into place. I'm not ready to firmly burnish it because I want some flex in that tape here in a minute. I'll show you what I'm talking about, because we're going to burnish the center all the way down, and we're going to push it down inside. Now, I will tell you that I wrapped with 65-pound weight. You can continue to work 65-pound weight if you want, but I have now switched to the 100-pound weight in the same color, because I want my pages to stand up tall. I want my pages to be as firm and stiff as possible. And I find that 100-pound weight gives me that sturdiness. Maybe that's the right word. Okay, so I'm just going to take this off. I'm not laying it down. If it attaches, it attaches, but it won't be attached entirely until I get ready to burnish it. All right, now, just a gentle little corner tap. I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to lift this up, and I'm going to burnish this down in there. Again, firm, not hard, firm, repetitive motions. You can use any tool. If you are using one of these, this is where you're going to run the risk of actually puncturing through. And then at this point, your only alternative would be to glue the tear. Okay, we're going to come over here. We're going to find this seam. And with the tape at the tops and the bottoms, it helps to seal it in. Now I'm going to burnish this. And there we go. We've maintained the integrity for our corners. All right, now our pages. You should have 3 of them that you cut at 8 inches in the height, and you've left a 12-inch rim. These are 5/8 of an inch hinge. I'm using 1/2 inch tape. All right, so take number 1. this edge that we've identified right here is where this edge is going to come up to. But we need to figure out what the length is. I'm one of those that I've got to see it to measurement. I can't go, okay, I have this and I'm going to cut it here. So I'm one of these people. So I'm going to line it up. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make sure that this paper is up against my hinge. Then I'm going to drop that and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to come in about 1/4 of an inch. Make my mark. For you guys, it's going to be 8 3/4. So you're going to be 8 by 8 3/4. So, or excuse me, 7 7/8 by 8 3/4. No, what did I do? Now I'm confusing myself. 8 inches. 8 inches. Let's get back to it. I'm so sorry. 8 by 8 3/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to trim this. Pencil mark. And now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to eyeball where that edge is, and I'm going to lay it up against it, and then I'm going to make sure that my page is laying straight. So well, that didn't do any good. All right, let's just go back at this again. I was trying to cheat. So come right up to the edge of where you identified the chipboard to be. I'm just going to tack the 2 corners because I want to make sure that this is laying correctly. All right, so now 8 3/4. I'm sorry, I'm doing it the hard way right at the moment. I don't want to bring out my the big guns. I'm just going to do it this way. Okay. Here we go. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to snug it right up underneath of here. Hopefully the same width. Gently lay it down. And so far I've got nice even edges. All right, 8 3/4 of an inch. Save those for projects for later. Okay, yay. I'm happy with the placement. So what you have here is you have 5/8 of a hinge, you have 5/8 of a hinge, 5/8 hinge, and 5/8 hinge once you identify where this edge is. So that is your album. I am not going to waste cardstock covering these because we'll actually put signatures over these. So don't worry about it. So the next video will be on making the outside look really pretty. Until then.